Alright, so I didn't go into the Minecraft movie with very high hopes. I heard a few things, and even though I never watched any of the official trailers, I saw the teaser trailer and could tell almost immediately that this film was going to be, at the very best, mid, at the very worst, horrible. From the early teaser to the hyper-realistic animation to Jack Black playing Steve Minecraft, I had my suspicions. And well, if you couldn't guess, I'm not surprised that it was a bad film. I'm kind of sitting on the edge of calling this one of those movies so bad it's good, because I just didn't really have a fun time watching it. A few jokes did get me, sure, and there was a level of absurdist humor I vibed with. And I did love the small tribute to Technoblade in the middle, but other than that, it sucked. Like, really, really sucked. The only reason I would ever consider rewatching it is not to actually enjoy rewatching the movie, but to force the torment upon another person by just seeing their reactions to it. Somehow, this movie managed to miss the core messages of Minecraft: creativity, freedom, and inclusivity, and gave us this uncanny, watered down, dull adventure with a version of Steve that just made me want to log off. And I get it. I do get it. This is a kids movie. I should not be this serious about a kids movie, but speaking as a former kid for current kids out there, I think kids deserve good media and stories. They deserve stories that aren't, well, whatever this nightmare is. Minecraft has always been a game about giving everyone the tools to build their own world. The game is meant to be inclusive for everyone, all around the world, and I mean everyone. So when they started to sideline the female characters and flatten the world building, it felt like the largest missed opportunity in movies adapted from video games history. Which, yeah, it's not a long history, but still. So, today, let's break down the Minecraft movie block by block to talk about how the 6 writers of this film managed to drop the ball so hard that it couldn't even water bucket clutch. Am I really going to keep that take in? It's been in more recent years where I've become a little disillusioned with Jack Black as an actor. Not for any particular reason, I just don't think he's good in every single role he's cast in. And that's kind of the same for all actors everywhere, honestly. And he is best meant for comedic animated characters that are just kind of weird. He was surprisingly great in the Super Mario Bros. Movie as Bowser. He was amazing as Poe in Kung Fu Panda. And he owns it too, and good for him. It's great to have a passion for a type of character, and I respect it. He really does shine when he's in that sort of role. But as Steve, it falls flat, like so flat. Granted, a bit of awkwardness from Steve would probably be anticipated if we're looking at it objectively from the story standpoint. Steve is the only human in the world of Minecraft, and has been there by himself for who knows how long, and he was already a little bit of a quirky character to begin with, so his lack of social interaction for years will probably show up as him being really, really awkward. But this, I have a conspiracy theory. I actually have a lot of conspiracy theories about films. The live action How to Train Your Dragon is Hollywood testing the trend of dragon riders in live action to be sure they'll profit from a Fourth Wing movie, but I have a conspiracy theory about Minecraft specifically. I think the writers of this film wrote it to have more quotable moments than an actual story. Just think about it. How many moments of Steve are immediately memeable? Chicken Jockey, Flint and Steel.
Flint and Steel.
Ever since I was a child, I yearned for the mines is literally ripped off of a Tumblr post. It's like the writers focused more on the witty one-liners they thought people would hear and immediately make a meme out of, than actually writing Steve with any really meaningful dialogue. And even when there are more tense, emotional moments in the film, Steve just can't stop joking. It could be that awkwardness again, sure, but it doesn't make it any less annoying. He's always gotta have something funny to say. Always. It makes me want to scream. It's just so bad. Like, imagine taking Steve Minecraft, one of the most iconic blank slate white player avatars, and not just whitewashing him, which we've been seeing as a trend for a long time, and deciding the only way we can adapt him is to give him the emotional complexity of a mud block, maybe a stack of mud blocks if we're going to be generous. Honestly, I don't think they should have written Steve into this film, and I know Steve is an iconic character in Minecraft lore, but giving Steve a personality just ruins him for me, honestly. The only good adaptation of Steve's character I've seen is this short comic by Ian Flynn called A Strange Coast. It's 10 pages and not a single word is spoken, but it's beautifully illustrated and the emotion is there. The heart is there. That's the sort of person I imagine Steve Minecraft as, not whatever Jack Black did. The only enjoyable thing about Steve in this film is the weird homoerotic energy he has with Garrett. Like, can we just talk about that weird tension between them? Sure, they're very bro-coded, but some of it got like really weird. But the dynamic they had honestly was the most enjoying part of Steve's entire character arc. Maybe if they leaned into it more, it would have been more memorable. And I'm not saying the filmmaker should have just made them gay, though that would have been a very iconic route to go, and I doubt that would never happen. Man, do you think Steve and Garrett like explored each other's bodies after they remodeled Garrett's store together? Now, the story is pretty basic as far as things go. A group of misfits get isekai'd into Minecraft, and they have to stop the big villain from taking this magical orb, which is technically a cube, that would allow her to send the overworld into an endless night, while working alongside this weirdo named Steve. They have to learn all about teamwork and creativity and whatever. For a movie, it's a very milquetoast story. It didn't take any huge steps or go in different directions. It's very basic. But at the same time, there's also a level of convoluted complication to it. They have a pretty large cast of main characters, so they try to cram in a lot of things all at once. I actually took notes during this film, which, by the way, is really tricky to do on pen and paper in a dark theater, and multiple times I had to stop and try to catch up with the movie because I couldn't remember the name of the character played by Sebastian Hansen. I thought it was Henry, but I swear that Jason Momoa's character Garrett kept calling him Hank through the movie. If that was meant to be a bit of comedy about Garrett, that would have been fine if that had been properly communicated in the story. There's also the villain of the story, Malgosia, Penguin, sorceress who wants to control the world and discourages creativity. I couldn't even remember her name until I looked it up on Wikipedia for this review, but I knew it was weird and started with an M, and for some reason my brain just kept saying Molduga. She's actually a pretty fun character considering everything wrong with this movie, but her motivations completely lose steam when you find out why she wants to destroy creativity. She got made fun of for dancing at a Nether's Got Talent show. I wish I was making that up. Of course, at the climax of the story, Malgosia gets her hands, her hooves, on the magical orb and superpowers a nether portal to take over the overworld. But our group of heroes team up to stop her with an army of iron golems. Henry is able to get the orb back and restore sunlight, the day is saved, everyone goes back to the human world where they live happily ever after, etc., you know the rest. Again, for a story like this, it's pretty basic. There's a huge message through the film all about creativity. Steve loves the Minecraft world because he's able to be as free and creative as he wants. Malgosia hates creativity and wants to destroy it. Henry struggles with his creativity making him an outcast, and his older sister Natalie worries that Henry's creativity will make him the outcast kid who gets bullied. But it doesn't really even show us the creativity of Minecraft. There is this one scene where they first get into the world where Henry builds a wooden tower as a temporary shelter to hide them from the mobs that come out at night. And it's a really cool tower, all things considered, but after that, most of the things they see are things that Steve has already built or refurbished. There's the mushroom house that Natalie and Dawn build in the later act of the film, but we don't even see them physically build it. It's just there already when Steve and Henry wake up in it. There's crafting and a bit of mine action, and that's it. Minecraft is an open world sandbox game. People can do anything with it, and I mean anything. They can build huge walking machines, they can design beautiful villages, they can tell stories with their friends. The world is their cube-shaped oyster, and the movie just does not show that at all. It doesn't show the amazing possibilities, and it ends up feeling more like an overly stylistic Marvel movie than a movie about Minecraft. Also, the side plots tend to have a tendency to happen mostly off-screen. I'll go into this a bit more. I assume Natalie and Dawn go through some character development when they actually build the mushroom house, but we don't get to see it. But at the same time, they explore a subplot between Henry's middle school vice principal meeting a nitwit villager and going on a date. Like, sure, Jennifer Coolidge is great in the role, but why did we have to include that of all things? Minecraft has a very visual identity. When you load up the game, it's all cubes. Everything is cubes and blocks. It's very angular and square. To get perfect circles and curves in Minecraft, it takes talent, skill, or the use of mods to make life easier. It's colorful and stylized. But the movie? I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's photorealistic horror. I think the Nitwood villager, speaking English at the end of the film, will become my newest sleep paralysis demon. They took the style of Minecraft and slapped a bunch of realistic filters on it, so the villagers actually look like they have skin and ears and the sheep have wool, and just left it. Like, what?
What the hell?
Everything is still blocky, and it still has that vaguely Minecrafty look, but it all looks uncanny and wrong and creepy. I didn't even know it was possible to make cubes uncanny, but they found a way to do it in this film, and I'm equal parts fascinated but also horrified by that. I think what frustrates me the most is that there was potential here. The isekai premise of Henry, Natalie, Dawn, and Garrett being thrown into a different world has a lot of potential. It could have been cool, but I think keeping them as real-world actors with the heavily stylized environment made them look so horribly out of place. Yes, it's funny they get called round by the piglins as an insult, but it just makes them look plain weird, standing out as these soft curves against rigid squares. And while on one hand, you could argue it does make sense because they're humans from our world, of course there'd be a difference between the styles, but on the other hand, there's this potential that they didn't take that is really frustrating. There was a potential of having it as a hybrid format. I'm fully on the boat of this should have been fully animated, but if you wanted to keep the live actors for some actual scenes, why couldn't they have done this in a hybrid format? Have them be humans in the real world and have them be animated when they go into the Minecraft world, kind of like a reversed Enchanted. They could still be animated more realistically to look at humans, not to blend in with the blocks around them, but they would be animated and wouldn't stand out so horribly in their environment, and it would have looked a lot better as a 2D animation, but that's a whole nother story. And animation gives the storytellers more creative freedom. Isn't that the point of Minecraft, creative freedom? We could have kept the surreal, absurdist humor and comedy in the film and leaned into it even more, giving them the flexibility to make the Minecraft world feel more alien and magical to our characters. Stylized crafting sequences, visual gags, redstones contraptions. We could have had it all, but no, we get hyper-realistic rocks and forests with regular humans walking through them. There's also already a Minecraft animated style they could have used, and it's used on Minecraft's official YouTube channel. The game is perfect for animation in a way that live action isn't. But no, they decided to go for the boring route of live action and over-budgeted CGI abominations, making hard eyes at Jennifer Coolidge. Can you tell I'm still not over that subplot? Going into the Minecraft movie, I was honestly pretty surprised by the gender ratio. We've got Natalie and Dawn who go into the Minecraft world alongside Henry and Garrett, and the vice principal played by Jennifer Coolidge who definitely wants to bang that villager. For a video game movie, I thought it was really balanced, fun, and diverse with the characters, and thought it worked pretty perfectly with the game's themes of inclusivity and diversity. The villain, Malgosia, is a female too, and while I didn't really like her character motivations, she was still a pretty fun villain on the screen. But, and I'm sure this is the moment that we've all been waiting for based on the title I'm inevitably giving this video. The film kind of just forgets that female characters even exist, or they have really odd plot lines that take up too much screen time that could have been better spent with something else. Let's start with Natalie and Dawn. Natalie is Henry's older sister, forced into a parental role after the death of their mother. This is a compelling character just by that alone. She ends up getting a house in a small town in Idaho with cheap rent and a job at the local potato chip factory that promises stability at the very least, even if the work would be very soul-sucking as a social media manager for a dying potato chip company. And Dawn is a real estate agent who helps Natalie find the house. She also has a few side gigs, the main one being a mobile petting zoo. A bit quirky and strange, but Minecraft is a weird game, so that's understandable. Things are going to be a little quirky and weird. Honestly, I'm fine with that. Natalie and Dawn are both isekai'd into Minecraft with Henry and Garrett. They're both there when Henry builds a wooden fort at night to save them from the mobs, and they're both there for the final battle, helping out with it. They help out build the Iron Column army and provide their own skills. Natalie using her surprising PvP strengths, and Dawn having tamed a literal wolf army. But between those two plot points, Natalie and Dawn get completely sidelined. Henry, Garrett, Steve, Natalie, and Dawn get separated in the village after it's attacked by the Piglin army. The guys end up using Elytra to fly off to the Woodland Mansion, while Natalie and Dawn, who were trying to haggle a map to the Woodland Mansion, have one scene of them walking in the woods after they get separated where they come across Dennis, Steve's tamed wolf, and yeah, I mean, there was a bit of them in the village after Henry and Garrett and Steve got away, but that's really it. We see them again after Henry and Steve get away from the Woodland Mansion after they're attacked by the Piglin army again, and the Earth Crystal and orb is stolen from them. And at some point, Natalie and Dawn have built a mushroom house. It's cute, don't get me wrong, but this is done completely off screen. We don't get to see Natalie and Dawn building this house or finding Steve and Henry unconscious. We don't see any development from Natalie going, maybe I was a little too mean to my little brother offhandedly while talking with Dawn while they're walking through the woods when they're lost. We don't get to see any sort of interesting character development out of our two female leads, which in my opinion is sexist, at least a little sexist. Because here's the thing, Minecraft is a game where your avatar doesn't have a gendered experience. Sure, there's two different models, one that's slimmer than the other, but nothing about the game is gendered. Everyone starts off at the same point, punching trees, building a dirt shack for the night. The blocks are the same regardless of gender. Minecraft is about being free and creative. So why do the guys get to have all the fun and action on the screen while the girls are just relegated to building a pretty cottagecore mushroom house off screen? It feeds into a stereotype that all girls like to do in Minecraft is build pretty houses and stuff, when there are plenty of people out there, especially female creators on YouTube, who can also do PvP, redstone, they'll speedrun, they'll do everything. There's also the vice principal character played by Jennifer Coolidge, and I had to look at Wikipedia to find out her name is Marlene because she's a little unremarkable, except if you couldn't tell by the way I've mentioned it over and over again, her whole story in this film is a weird side plot that felt, again, very unnecessary, where she hits a nitwit villager with her car, proceeds to take him out on a date, and that's it. Her whole story is revolved around a male character. Like, hello? And I don't mean to sound really nitpicky with some of these criticisms, but these small details all built up to the bigger problem that is representation of female characters in film. Studios will pretend to care about this. They'll make epic girl boss movies where a feminist character exists and says something radical, but when it comes to actually writing them, they don't even bother. They don't give their characters agency or an arc or even their own voice. What I would have loved to see with Natalie and Henry in particular is something similar to the dynamic Mike and his little sister have in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Natalie was shown to be a fighter somewhere in the middle of the film, which honestly kind of came out of nowhere, might I add. So why couldn't they have leaned into that in the beginning to give her a more interesting backstory? She would have been a more fascinating character if Natalie was involved in something self-defense related. Like maybe she was a fencer who had to give up her dreams after her mom died in order to take care of Henry, which would both lead to her skills in PvP and Minecraft, and would have been a more interesting character. And we could have expanded Dawn a bit more too. Her character reminded me of the players who tame every single animal they come across in Minecraft. She has a cool moment at the end where she's shown to have tamed a cool wolf army in the middle of a final fight, but A, that happens off screen, and B, what about the other tameable animals? She has an alpaca in the real world as a part of her mobile petting zoo. Why not show her bonding with a llama and having it used to cart items on their way to the Woodland Mansion? Maybe Dawn went to school for zoology but couldn't find a job, so she ended up getting like a real estate license to help support herself. Something like that. Add more to her backstory. We got Garrett's whole story from how he was a washed up 80s video game champion to today. We saw how Steve yearned for the mines as a child and how he was a washed up doorknob salesman before he ran off to the mines. We got their backstories, so why not something more fleshed out for the girls too? And they could have cut the whole subplot out with a nitwit love story and used it to flesh out the other female characters in the film, but instead it just felt like a waste of time. It felt like it was a slap in the face to the many female players out there who play Minecraft. I'm getting very passionate. I need to take a second. It feels like they were just slapping the face of the many female players out there who play Minecraft, run their own servers, build amazing redstone contraptions, and yeah, build pretty houses too. They could have highlighted this in Natalie and Dawn, but they didn't, and sidelined maybe the more complex stories they could have to the nitwit love story. Can you tell I'm not over this side plot? I swear, the villager talking in human at the mid-credits scene is going to be haunting me in my nightmares. It felt good to get that off my chest. At the end of the day, the Minecraft movie feels like it missed everything that makes Minecraft a good game. It tried hard to be fun and quirky, but completely falls flat because They forgot to include the important ideas present in the original game: creativity, inclusivity, and play. From Steve, to the plot, to the animation, to the sidelining of the female characters, the film was a horrible experience. You can't even count this movie as one of those movies that's so bad it's kinda good, because it's not. It's just bad. And it's frustrating because they had all of these great pieces to make something actually good. Minecraft is an iconic intellectual property. They sell lunch bags, toys, clothes, more toys, and more, without even trying. Plushies of their iconic, adorable mobs are constantly sold out because people have been charmed by this adorable, blocky art style. And instead of taking this game and building a great movie around it that celebrates everything that makes Minecraft great, we're stuck with this. We're stuck with the cinematic equivalent of maybe not a dirt hut, but a house made completely out of purpur blocks. Expensive to make, horrible to look at. I know, not everything needs to be groundbreaking, especially for a kids' movie, but I'm of the opinion that children, just like adults, deserve good movies. They deserve good movies that are good, not because they're just so bad, but because they're good to begin with. And we've had other successful adaptations of video games to movies before: Detective Pikachu, Sonic, Five Nights at Freddy's. So why couldn't they have taken more time with this film and made it so obviously not a desperate cash cow, and actually tried to tell a good story for all the people who play Minecraft? Anyway, I'm going to go dig a hole straight down and contemplate life, and the fact that I somehow wrote almost 5,000 words on the Minecraft movie, but couldn't be bothered to do that for the essays I wrote in school.
I am placing blocks and shit 'cause I'm in the fucking Minecraft. I am placing blocks and shit 'cause I'm in fucking Minecraft. Oh!